the Seven Trumpets Prepper. And guys, in this video today, I'm going to be doing something a lot different to most of things that I do on this channel. Prepping, talking about the end days, how to build stuff, all sorts of different things, right? Today I'm going to be talking about a concept that I've come up with and that I've really tried to apply in this past year of my life, and it's really made a lot of impact in my life, and I'm going to share this information with you in hopes that it will help you. Now, what I'm going to call this is the circle effect. Now, I don't know, there might be somewhere else and somebody else out here in the world that this is told, this is shown, it might be a concept, I don't know. I come up with this on my own. It's working. I want to share this with you. Another thing, too, is that when I'm done with this presentation, it's either hopefully going to have made a profound effect on your life, or you might just laugh at it and walk away, and that's fine. You're the master and commander of your own life under the Most High's will. So, between something of Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life and Jordan Belford's Straight Line Method, I guess we're going to try to have a blend of something of that today, and I'm going to show you something pretty neat. Now, what I call this is the circle effect, okay? Now, this may seem like kindergarten, simple, ridiculous stuff, okay? But please just bear with me, and I hope you enjoy this presentation, all right? So it's the circle effect. And I got a chisel Sharpie so that hopefully this will show up good, guys. The circle effect. That's good. All right, so now here's the thing. I'm going to go over the different effects that is affecting this circle. That circle represents you. There's going to be people, situations, things that come into our life. And by doing certain things will configure your whole life. I think what happens with people is we, myself included, is we never step so far back enough that we see what we're actually dealing with. And when we do, by the time we deconstruct it, we've usually went too far. And I think that what I'm sharing with you today is if you'll constantly take a pause in your life, lay it out in front of you and be like, okay, where am I at with this right now? Where's the pieces on the chessboard? Who is the people on the chessboard? What do I need to do about it? I think this will save you a lot of pain, suffering, and heartache later in life if you will start applying this today, because it's better to hurt a little today than a ton later down the road. All right? Now I'm going to go over a couple different effects that you'll see to this circle, because, you know, just like every action has an equal and opposite reaction, right? Well, you know, we can apply physics to this thing at the moment too, right? We're going to have overlaps. If this is you, let's say this is you. That's you watching. All right? This is the effect that's going to be upon your life, right? And I'll probably have to rip this paper and go over this a couple times different ways. But one thing we need to look at that is two ways. People either help pollinate our life, help grow our life, or people are like a rotten fruit and a disease, and when you put a rotten apple next to another apple, it starts making it rotten too, right? Well, you have overlaps. There's going to be people, and plenty of times this is going to happen in life, there's going to be overlaps in your life. They may fill up this much into your life. They may fill up 2/3 of your life. They may have a big impact into your life. You're going to run through that all the time in your life. I'll give you an example. My wife and I just had a baby shower. People that were very close to us came to that shower. They filled out a thing hoping that her daughter would be this way or that way, have mom's eyes or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then they wrote nice things, something that they hoped that our daughter would get from each of us. And the things they wrote were like deep things of our life. And it's like, it just goes to show you how much people pay attention while they're inside the circle of your life and take note of that. Even though you're not paying attention, they're taking note of that. Okay? So you're going to have overlaps in your life. That's unavoidable. You're going to have overlaps at work. You're going to have overlaps in relationships. You're going to have overlaps going to the gas station. You're going to meet somebody and have a conversation with people's going to pop into your life. Okay? Now, you're going to have bleed overs. Now this, and there's no exact ranking of these, which one's more important than the other. They all have their own space in this, okay? You're going to have bleed overs in life. Now, bleed overs, okay, is when somebody's life you start shading this in, that portion of their life is bleeding into your life. Now that can be good and that can be bad. If somebody's positivity, somebody's growth in their business, somebody's growth in their life is bleeding over into you and helping your life ascend too, that's great. Okay? And there's another thing we'll get into is symbiotics in a minute that I wrote down, but this, I just want to put each thing in their own place. Because I'm going to redraw the circle in a minute and go through all this, but I'm just trying to lay down the baseline of all these different things. Is that when you have bleed over, what happens is, it's like Richard Cooper said before, that you want to stay away from people that constantly have problems in their life. Okay? Like you've known people your whole life, and every time you see them, they always have a problem. Like they're always going through something. And I hate that for people. But the same measure, you got to help people and then get away from them. Because if they're constantly going to have a problem in their life, guess what? They're constantly going to be a problem in your life. This also comes down to faith. If you're trying to serve the Most High Yah and you're like, you know what, I'm not going to eat pork anymore. And you have a family member or a friend that's constantly like, hey man, you want to come over and have pork barbecue tonight? Bro, like, if you've told these people for like 5, 10 years and you're trying to walk this out, like, this is these relationships that's got to start getting trimmed, right? So there's bleed overs, right? And depending on how much that person overlaps in your life, puts you at more risk for a bleed over, either good or bad. All right? Now, another thing we have is merges. All right? Now, merges are interesting because you can have, let's say that this is the circle, okay? They come into that circle that much. Now, this can be a business relationship. This can be a spouse. And when that much of a person is allowed to come into your circle, the thing is they have that much power to wreck your life too, to add to it or wreck it. So, merges are very dangerous because if you merge wrongly with somebody, the bleed over can be really bad. I mean, that's why that, like, when people get married, okay, I'm always cautious to encourage people about marriage anymore because it's not that I don't want people to get married. I want you to marry somebody that loves the Most High Yah and is a good-hearted person rooted in Torah, because if they are, they're not going to be out here turning tricks on the street. And I'm not trying to be profane. I'm just telling you, like, a lot of women belong to the streets, guys. And the fact that 80% of divorces originate from the female tells us that hypergamy is a true thing, that most women do not love Yah. Look at King Solomon, the wisest man in the world, or one of the wisest men that ever lived in the world. And what happened? The women in his life, in the end, turned him away from Yah. So it's very dangerous, like when you're selecting a partner. And that can go like that for choosing a male partner, too. They may just use you and throw you away. I mean, like, we're living in some perilous times. But merges are dangerous because when you merge into someone's life, like I said, the bleed over effect that's going to come in at that point, I mean, they could just wreck your whole life, and then you're spending years and years rebuilding your life, just like most men spend. I think it's 5 to 15 years rebuilding their life after a divorce. A savage. And some people never recover. All right? Now, the next thing we have, and this one's an interesting one, is conversions. Okay? A conversion is whenever this person has merged into your life or overlapped or bled over, right? And all of a sudden, you start converting either to the way they are. So we'll just start coloring this in because that's starting to become a big part of your life. You're starting to convert into who they are, or they're starting to convert into who you are. Now, like I said, on some of this stuff, this can go either way. But what you got to understand is as you start backing up and you start doing like CSI at the law office, right? You start writing a name in like, this is Bob, this is Sally, all right? This is Kevin, this is Chris. You got to start looking at this stuff carefully, and you don't have to draw it out on the board. You can start drawing it out in your mind with the things I'm telling you today and backing way up and be like, oh, crap. I got to call this person out of my life. I need to bring this person in closer in my life. I need to make things right with this person. Like, it starts really putting things in perspective. All right? Now, another thing with the conversions, too, is like, if you bring this person merges into your life, this is your spouse. Say they learn about the Torah. They want to start following the Most High Yah, right? Keeping His commandments. Well, then, as they merge into your life, they're also converting, which is a good thing, right? And we'll get on into that, why that's a good thing in just a minute, because one of two things is going to happen at that point. You're going to have what I call toxic bonds / vampires. Is that this person's not only going to start converting you or you converting them, but if it's a toxic bond, they're going to start sucking the life out of you for their benefit, ruining your life at the same time, damaging you, so that when you finally do break out of you finally break your circle out of theirs, that you're going to have a hard time putting yourself back together. And not only that, the energy, the time, the resources, the love, the attention, the affection, it's been gone, right? So you got to be careful as you're letting people merge into your circle. Like if you step back right now and you look at your life, like how much impact does that person have in my life right now, right? And I'm going to put some scenarios together in a second. All right. Now the thing is just as much as that can be a toxic bond, you can also have a symbiotic relationship. All right. So let me just draw this down here for reference. That's where things go both ways, where it's mutually beneficial. So if this is the husband and this is the wife, right? Those two circles have merged together. Then they're starting to pour into each other, just like they should be a helpmate to each other, right? Because I think when people think of marriage, they just think about, oh, yeah, sex. And it's like, bruh, there's 23 other hours in the day. You better be figuring out something to do productive with your life other than just worrying about when the lights go out. Just saying, folks. And listen, it's just coming from a guy that's in his 30s going into his 40s. Like, I got more things to do in my life now. Like, see, behind here, this is called being financially stable, like crypto mining, and where I don't have to go out and climb roofs and break my back doing people's off-grid construction. Like, get smart with your time. Make your money work for you. Make your time work for you, you know? But, like, relationships totally forward, but guys, like, you got to get smart with your time. So symbiotic. So this person's pouring into your life, you're pouring into theirs. Things are balanced, okay? So there's not, even if conversions are taking place, things like that, it's not. There's a balance point. You're not seeing a bleed away from one or the other. That's good. Now, bounce offs. Right here, I'm gonna put this circle right here. Okay, this hits and it reflects. Now we have bounce offs where that you will go places and you will get around people and you will start to interact with them, and then you will not. You can just feel the energy and you're like, whoa, you're not coming in my space. That is, you're just not coming in my space. Or you may have missed opportunities where that you got around people, you started to interact with them, but you never did. That's what I call bounce offs. All right. And sometimes, hey, it's for your best. It's for your best interest at heart. Okay. Most times watching out for you. Now, the last thing I would say to this is the possibles, okay, is that you will have people, they'll come out of left field, right? They are once in a lifetimes that where you have an opportunity to bring them people into your circle. Like it may be that one opportunity you've been waiting for at your job. It's like, yes, they're not making me take the poke. I'm going to make 20 grand more this year, but I've got to put the effort into this. I've got to make a decision today. That's what I call one-offs, once in a lifetimes. Like some of the best decisions I ever made in my life were on the fly. But you've got to make a decision if you're going to lock that in right there or if they're going to turn into a bounce off. It's just that simple. Now, I know this may, like, at this point, I want to pause for a second. People are like, this is just the stupidest presentation. And you may think that. On the flip side of that, this may be starting to open your eyes to some things, and I'll tell you why. Right here, when I first started thinking about this, I first started putting people into my circle. I started going down through this. Now, I'm going to construct my own life here, okay, for a minute. This is me, okay, because I think if you're going to use people for example, might as well just start at home, right? This is me. In the past years, okay, I've had people come into my life, right? Like, for example, my wife. She came into my life, okay, overlapped. And then, and I let that overlap come way in because I thought, hey, this is a great person. So this is my wife, okay? This is my wife. And she came into my life and overlapped. Then we started merging our lives, okay? So this is starting to fill in. Okay, so all this, we're really starting to become one person here, which is good, like Scripture says, right? Then there was a conversion. And when I say conversion, like things that my wife pointed out to me about our walk in faith together, I'm like, man, that's a very good point. We'd look in the Scripture together, build a stronger foundation. Likewise with her. So and I'm not going to color this whole thing in, but we started to become solid, right? And I look back at that now years later, and I'm like, I still feel good about that decision. Still, matter of fact, they're past days, even better. But you've got certain situations where we might have had mutual friends, right? And we don't have that mutual friend anymore. And like they were in our life about that much, you know. But then maybe there was some toxicity, right? And I'm just like, this ain't happening. I'm not about that. And so the more I took a step back and then they leave, you see that it was a lot more peaceful for myself, for my wife, and etc. And the more I started looking at that, I'm like, now not saying that losing friends and stuff is a good thing, but I'm just going to say this like people that say I might have fellowshipped with in Torah. And I'm like, they would just not walk out a truth, like a pillar of truth, right? It's like, it's right there in front of you. I love you, but I am tired of grinding this out. Like, you got to go do your thing. I'm going to go over here and serve y'all and do my thing, but I cannot keep going in that direction. So these people left, right? So that can be like toxic bonds, just leaving out, gone. All right. And then there's people that's come into our life and they bounced off, right? It was just like, once you meet those people, it's like, man, I like you all, but you're just not like coming into my circle. And another thing too is as times get worse, the thing is that this will become more and more critical to make sure people bounce off and deflect and don't come into your circle at all in your life, because they're toxic to begin with. And the more time goes by, the wiser you can get on seeing toxicity. And it may be just they're financially toxic, they're physically toxic, they might be druggies, they might not love y'all, they might, they might cause trouble in your marriage, they might come try to disrupt your marriage, disrupt your family, disrupt your friendship, disrupt your job. I mean, like, this may be people in the workplace. It's like, you know what, I know Bob over there is toxic. Listen, if I have to work in a work team this week, boss man, that's fine. Just please don't put me with him. Plus, your productivity is going to go up. Why would you not want to just let me go over here and be away from that? So you start seeing that. And so, you've got the overlaps, you've got a merge example there, you've got conversion, you've got toxic situation leaving, you've got the symbiotic one-offs. We've had people come into me and my wife's life that, for example, I met a tour keeper recently. We were at TJ Maxx. Okay, here's going to be that person. And they bounced into our circle for a minute, and it latched. Okay, and I call that a once in a lifetime. And we made a friend, and y'all willing, we're all going to fellowship together here, hopefully in about a month when a bunch of us get together for Sabbath, y'all willing. And it was not only that, but it was positive latch on. Okay, so like they're stuck in that circle now. We've made a connection, and it so happened that I had no intention of being at that place at that time, but that other person had found my YouTube channel. We happened to cross paths, Torah believer, and me and my wife and that lady had a wonderful connection. And it's like, that is an example of one-off, and that's people, like leaving that person in our circle. Now, you're going to have situations where that people come into your circle and say, like, this person's positive, and then this person comes into the circle, and they may be positive with us too, but they're negative with that person. So these two these clash. And that starts to cause problems for you. And so you have to decide at that point, it's like, is it so important to me to hold on to this relationship with this person and this person, or this person and let that person go because they're hurting my relationship with this person? And that's another thing that falls into the toxic bonds. And that's a decision you're going to have to make. You've got to ask yourself, man, is this worth it? Is it not? Because the thing is, when you make these decisions on some of these things, guys, you can't go back. And that's why it's so important, I think, that when you're looking at this as a circle, the Most High, here's the Most High. He sees everything, okay? Everything. But we can only see so much in our lives. Matter of fact, sometimes we can't even see our own lives clearly. But if we try to back up and then start adding the people that interact with us, right, you start to see where it's impacting you positively or negatively, where it's impacting them positively or negatively. And I think this is the best thing that we can be doing right now on a lot of matters, is taking a step way back, look at it on the chart, plug people in right there and be like, is that making a positive impact in my life or not? And I might be repeating myself on some of this stuff, but I just want to say a few more last notes on this, and I hope this is a simple presentation that makes some sense to people and encourages you to take a step back and really analyze your life critically. The thing with the merges is before people are allowed to merge into your life, like for example my wife, right? It's really important that my mindset and that person's mindset is on one accord, because when you let people that far into your life, to get them out sometimes is a nightmare. And not only that, when people get that far into your life and they leave, it is so painful. So I think that is important, that if before you ever let people get that far, you make sure if they need to bounce off or not. Okay? Because it's better to have not known somebody and not hurt than to know somebody and hurt. Okay? My mom always says, you don't miss what you didn't have. And I really think as I get older, I think that's a lot of wisdom in what she said. Now, last thing I want to say on this really is just two last things here, okay? Is the symbiotics. There'll be a lot of people come to your life, and if you are truly Baruch by the Most High, this may be a business friend, okay? They got a big chunk into your life. Not only will they come into your life, not only will they merge into your life, but then they'll start being symbiotic. So you'll start pouring into them and them into you. And building together with people, I think over the times that we're living in, being able to build with one another is mission critical. I have concluded I cannot do everything in my life on my own. Every time a problem comes in life, I'm like, I'll figure it out. Every man, I hear men say that all the time, well, I'll figure it out, I'll figure it out. Gentlemen, we really shouldn't have to always figure it out. I think, and I'm not saying it's toxic masculinity either, I just think that we try so hard, we overcompensate sometimes, and we should allow people to help us in life. I'm not saying use people as a crutch, but I think we really overtax ourselves at times. That's why I'm getting gray hairs early, I think, and overdo it. But the symbiotics, if you can get these people into your life and it be symbiotic, I think it's wonderful. I tell you, the other last thing to that too is people that come into your life, they merge, they blend into your life, you have a symbiotic relationship, and then you start seeing conversions in people's lives toward the kingdom, toward a positive mindset, like the crypto charts behind me today, like helping friends learn how to mine cryptocurrency, get free from the system financially. If you can pour something back into them, that's great. But I'm going to tell you, like I said, something between Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life and Jordan Belford's straight line method today. I hope that something I've poured into you today that is helpful, because just for a last final review, and we'll wrap this up, is the things that you have, okay? So if you want to make these notes, you have overlaps, okay? And here's the circle. These are people that come into the circle, into your life, okay? You have bleed over. This can be good or bad. These is the circle. That's you. Here's people that's come into your life. They're starting to be parts of their life become you, or you into them. Okay, and like I said, that can be good or bad. Merges. This is like marriages. Great friendships, close friends. Okay, here's the circle. Here is their circle practically overlapped with you, right? All right, pretty much an overlap, right? Depending on how much a person overlaps in your life. But this is actually one now, okay? They bled over in your life, you into them, and you've merged. You've really made a strong bond. All right, there's conversions. These are people that, sorry guys. My circles are running into each other. I'm not that good at art school. Sorry about that, guys. I'm a really good electrician, though. Very good electrician. You got conversions. Conversions, people that come into your life, and one way or another, you're pouring information, knowledge, and wisdom into them, or them dragging you down. Okay, could be a good thing or a bad thing, too, right? All right, toxic bonds. All right, and toxic bonds is people that come into your life. All right, they bleed over into your life. All right, and it's negative. Okay, so big negative over here. All right, and you don't want that. All right, now next is we've got the symbiotics. All right, and that is people that come into your life. overlap, merge with you, and you guys are just positive, feeding into each other. I've got friends I love so much. I can pick up the phone, I can go see them. We pick right back up where we left off. I mean, right back up. Couldn't have not seen them for months. Right back where we left off. That is symbiotic. A husband-wife relationship, always lifting the other one up whenever you're down. Always pouring into each other, and you just see this constant. It's just like the market up today. It's just a constant rise in each other's life. That's symbiotics. All right, next up, good one here. People worry sometimes they missed opportunities in life, but actually it was for their better. These are bounce offs. They came in, they deflected. All right, they were gone. Probably saved yourself a lot of heartache, risk. You know, it's just like going in a timeshare place. Excuse me, and trying to sell you a timeshare, and you're like, whoa, no. And you leave. Whew. You got out of there, didn't buy a timeshare. You don't feel bad about it now. You were under a lot of pressure. You got that out off your back. Now that's not turned into a toxic bond where you're having to pay for a timeshare you didn't want. Okay. Last one is one-offs. Once in a lifetimes. All right. These are people that just come completely out of left field into your life, become something very positive in your life. Okay. And those are rare occasions. I think that's the most rare occasion because that turns into an overlap, a bleed over, a merge, and then a conversion where that you become like, you know, this might be a super close friend, a great business bond, your wife. Like those one-offs usually turn into something great sometimes, guys. Not always, but most often that's a really rare good occasion. But guys, that pretty much is the things that I've seen that when I take and put a circle there, put myself in it and start plugging people in, how that they fall in. And I'm going to tell you, if you see more negativity going into your life over a long-term effect as opposed to positive, this is why you cull those people out of your life, okay? And we're getting in a time of great peril where we cannot afford to have toxic people in our life. You know, you've heard me say on here, if you follow my channel, if you took the poke, I can't trust you, okay? That becomes a toxic bond now. They could have been a symbiotic, but now that they took that, they turned into a toxic bond. I evaluate this circle nowadays. Like, I evaluate it very carefully and often. And I'm telling you, if you ain't adding my life, you gone, baby. And likewise, if I can't do something positive in your life, I don't want to drag you down either. So I think it's very important this is a great tool to use. This knowledge is free today. I ain't charging nobody for a course. Once again, you might think it's stupid. You might think it's one of the best things you ever seen. But I live by this now. And I want you to understand something that within a year ago, I was struggling in my life. And I'm a successful business owner. I have a good marriage. I believe in Most High God. Like, life's probably about the best it's ever been in my life, but still it wasn't where I wanted it to be. And I've noticed that about a year ago when I started implementing these rules, managing my time, people, money, everything, effort, energy, that now I have a lot more zeros behind the dollars in my bank account, my crypto wallet, my mining business, my off-grid construction company, capital setting there to be used. And I'm not saying this to brag. It can all dissolve tomorrow. But what is important is that if you start implementing this and then you start seeing positive results coming from that, then that tells you that you are using the circle properly and you are managing your time, assets, people, and energy around you rightly. And hopefully they're benefiting from it too. Because I mean, like, see my wife's quality of life improve, mine improve, family, friends. I mean, and not only that, it's like financially too. Just like started doing mining, then my bills started fading away. And you just start seeing things that were come into your circle in your life, adding to, taking away problems. And that's a beautiful thing. All right, so guys, anyways, I hope this has been a help to you. If you ain't a subscriber channel, make sure to subscribe. If you haven't checked us out over on Odysee, make sure to check me out over on 7 Trump's Prepper channel on Odysee. And guys, as always, till we see you again here at 7 Trump's Prepper channel, hope Most High Yah Baruch and keep you, make his face shine upon you, show you favor, and give you shalom, my friends, in Yahushua name.